Have you ever spent months or even years studying English but still felt nervous when it was time to speak? Maybe you know hundreds of words. Maybe you understand English movies with subtitles. Maybe you have finished many grammar books and watched hundreds of lessons on YouTube. But when someone suddenly asks you, "How are you?" your mind becomes empty. You know the answer, but the words refuse to come out. If this sounds familiar, then today's lesson could completely change the way you learn English forever. Today, I want to tell you something that may surprise you. Don't study English. Speak it. Of course, you still need to learn vocabulary and grammar, but they should never become your final goal. Your real goal is communication. English is not a school exam. It is not a list of grammar rules.
It is not a collection of difficult words that you memorize and forget a week later. English is a living language. It is something you use every day to share ideas, make friends, travel, study, work, and enjoy life. Imagine learning how to swim. Would reading 10 books about swimming make you a great swimmer? Probably not. You could memorize every swimming technique ever invented, but if you never entered the water, you would never become comfortable swimming. Speaking English works exactly the same way. You cannot become a confident speaker by only reading grammar books. At some point, you must jump into the conversation.
Unfortunately, many English learners spend almost all of their time studying instead of speaking. They buy grammar books. They memorize long vocabulary lists. They complete exercises every day. They watch videos explaining the present perfect, the past perfect, conditional sentences, passive voice, and many other grammar topics. These things are useful, but they become a problem when they replace real communication. Imagine a football player who spends every day reading about football strategies, but never kicks a ball. Would anyone expect him to become a great player? Of course not. Reading helps, but practice creates skill. Language works exactly the same way. The greatest English speakers did not become fluent because they knew every grammar rule. They became fluent because they spent thousands of hours listening, speaking, making mistakes, correcting themselves, and speaking again. One of the biggest mistakes learners make is waiting until they feel ready. They say, "I'll start speaking after I learn more vocabulary." Then they say, "I'll speak after I finish this grammar book." Later they say, "I'll start speaking next month because I still need more practice." Months become years. Years become decades, and they are still waiting. The truth is that nobody ever feels completely ready. Think about children learning their first language. Babies do not wait until they know perfect grammar. They do not memorize verb tables. They simply listen, copy, make mistakes, laugh, learn, and continue speaking every single day. Nobody laughs at a baby for making grammar mistakes because everyone understands that mistakes are part of learning. As adults, we often forget this simple truth. We become afraid of sounding foolish. We worry about pronunciation. We fear that people will judge us. Because of this fear, we stay silent. Silence is the biggest enemy of fluency. Every sentence you refuse to speak is a missed opportunity to improve. the fastest learners understand something very important. Mistakes are not evidence of failure. Mistakes are evidence of progress. Every mistake teaches your brain something new.
Every conversation builds confidence. Every sentence makes speaking a little easier. Think about riding a bicycle. The first time you ride, you may fall. The second time, you may fall again. Eventually, your brain learns balance automatically. Speaking English follows the same process. At first, you stop often. You search for words. You make pronunciation mistakes. You confuse grammar. But little by little, your brain begins to connect everything naturally. One day, you suddenly notice something amazing. You stop translating. Instead of thinking in your native language first, English starts coming directly into your mind. This moment is one of the greatest rewards in language learning, but it only happens through repeated speaking, not repeated studying.
Many learners believe that speaking requires confidence. Actually, the opposite is true. Speaking creates confidence. Confidence does not arrive first. Action arrives first. Imagine two students. The first student studies grammar for 3 years, but rarely speaks. The second student studies only a little grammar, but speaks English every single day, even for 10 minutes. After 3 years, who will probably communicate better? Almost always the second student. Why? Because communication is a skill, and skills improve through repetition. A pianist improves by playing. A cook improves by cooking. A football player improves by practicing. An English speaker improves by speaking.
This sounds simple, but many learners ignore it. They confuse knowledge with ability. Knowing English is different from using English. You may know thousands of words, but still struggle to create one simple sentence under pressure. That happens because recognition and production are different skills. Recognition means you understand something when you hear or read it. Production means you can create it yourself while speaking. Production requires much more practice. That is why passive learning alone is never enough. Instead of spending 2 hours memorizing vocabulary lists, try spending 30 minutes speaking aloud. Describe your room. Describe today's weather. Talk about your breakfast. Explain your favourite movie. Retell a story. Pretend you are teaching someone. Ask yourself questions and answer them. The more your mouth moves, the stronger your speaking muscles become. Many learners think they need a speaking partner all the time. A partner is wonderful, but it is not required. You can speak alone. Professional athletes practice alone. Musicians practice alone. Public speakers rehearse alone. You can do the same. Stand in front of a mirror. Walk around your room. Describe everything you see. What is this? This is my chair. My chair is brown. I bought it 2 years ago. I usually sit here when I study. Notice what happened. One sentence naturally created another. This is exactly how conversations grow. Fluency is not speaking fast. Fluency is continuing the conversation. Even if your sentences are simple, keep talking. Simple English spoken confidently is much more powerful than perfect grammar that never leaves your mind. Many learners also spend too much time worrying about difficult vocabulary.
Native speakers use simple words most of the time. The most common 2,000 or 3,000 words appear in everyday conversations again and again. Instead of learning rare words, master the common ones and learn to use them naturally. For example, instead of searching for complicated vocabulary, practice saying simple things in many different ways. I'm tired. I'm really tired today. I'm a little tired because I didn't sleep well. I think I'll go to bed early. Notice how a few simple words can create many different sentences. This is real communication. Another powerful habit is speaking while listening. Choose a short audio. Listen to one sentence. Pause. Repeat exactly what you hear. Copy the pronunciation. Copy the rhythm. Copy the emotion. This technique is called shadowing, and it trains your brain to speak naturally instead of translating every sentence. Over time, your pronunciation becomes smoother, your confidence grows, and your speaking speed increases without forcing it. The most important lesson today is this. English is not information to collect. English is a skill to practice. The more you speak, the more natural it becomes. The less you fear mistakes, the faster you improve. So, starting today, stop asking yourself, how much English did I study today? Instead, ask yourself, how much English did I speak today? That one question could completely change your English journey. The biggest difference between people who speak English fluently and those who continue struggling for years is not intelligence, talent, or even the number of grammar books they have read. The biggest difference is consistency. Fluent speakers make English a part of their everyday lives. They do not wait for the perfect classroom, the perfect teacher, or the perfect opportunity. Instead, they create opportunities wherever they are. They understand that language grows through daily use, just as a plant grows through regular watering. Imagine watering a plant for 5 hours on one day and then ignoring it for the next 3 weeks. It would not grow very well. Language learning works in exactly the same way. Studying English for 6 hours on Sunday and then forgetting about it until the following weekend is far less effective than speaking for just 15 or 20 minutes every single day. Small daily practice may seem unimportant, but over weeks, months, and years, it creates extraordinary results. One of the easiest ways to improve your speaking is to start thinking in English. Many learners believe this is impossible, but it becomes easier than you think when you begin with simple thoughts. When you wake up in the morning, instead of thinking in your native language, tell yourself, "Good morning. Today is going to be a great day." While making breakfast, say, "I'm making some eggs. The coffee smells good. I need to leave the house in 30 minutes. While walking outside, describe everything around you in English. The sky is beautiful today. There are many cars on the road. That little boy is riding a bicycle. These may seem like very simple sentences, but they train your brain to use English naturally. Eventually, English will stop feeling like a subject you study and start feeling like a language you actually live. That is the goal every learner should aim for. Another habit that transforms ordinary learners into confident speakers is accepting imperfection. Many people refuse to open their mouths because they are afraid of making grammar mistakes or mispronouncing a word. Ironically, this fear prevents them from ever becoming fluent. Every fluent English speaker, even native speakers, makes mistakes from time to time. The difference is that confident speakers do not let mistakes stop the conversation. They keep talking, they keep communicating, and they learn something new each time. If you wait until your English is perfect before you start speaking, you will probably wait forever. Instead, give yourself permission to make mistakes. Every mistake is a lesson. Every conversation is practice. And every practice session moves you one step closer to fluency. Remember, people usually admire someone who is trying to speak a new language. They are not waiting for you to be perfect. They are simply happy that you are making the effort to communicate. Another powerful habit that successful English learners develop is surrounding themselves with the language every single day. Think about how children learn their first language. They do not study from textbooks for hours every day. Instead, they hear the language everywhere. They hear it at home, in the street, on television, and while playing with friends. Their brains are constantly receiving English, and because of this continuous exposure, speaking becomes natural. You can create the same environment for yourself, even if you live in a country where nobody speaks English. Fill your daily life with English. Listen to podcasts while walking, cooking, or exercising. Watch YouTube videos in English while eating your lunch. Change your phone and computer language to English. Read simple articles before going to bed. Follow English-speaking creators on social media. The more English becomes part of your everyday routine, the less it feels like something you have to study. Instead, it becomes something you naturally experience throughout the day. Little by little, your brain begins to recognize patterns, common expressions, and natural pronunciation without you even realizing it. This daily exposure creates familiarity, and familiarity creates confidence. One day, you will hear a sentence that once seemed difficult, and you will understand it immediately, without translating it into your native language. That is one of the clearest signs that your English is becoming automatic. Listening and speaking should always work together, like two best friends. Some learners spend all their time reading grammar books, but rarely listen to real conversations. Others listen for hours, but never open their mouths to practice. Neither approach is complete. Every time you listen to English, give yourself the opportunity to repeat what you hear. Pause a video after each sentence and imitate the speaker as closely as possible. Pay attention to the pronunciation, the rhythm, the stress, and even the emotion in the speaker's voice. If the speaker sounds excited, try to sound excited too. If the speaker speaks slowly and calmly, copy that style as well. This technique trains not only your pronunciation, but also your confidence. At first, it may feel strange to copy another person's voice, but this is exactly how children learn their first language. They listen, they imitate, and eventually they develop their own natural speaking style. Over time, your pronunciation will become clearer, your speaking speed will improve, and your sentences will begin to flow much more naturally. The goal is not to sound exactly like someone else, but to train your mouth and your ears to work together smoothly. It is also important to stop comparing yourself to other learners. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to lose motivation. There will always be someone who started learning earlier than you. There will always be someone with a larger vocabulary, a stronger accent, or more confidence. But their journey is not your journey. Imagine two people climbing a mountain from different sides. One path may be shorter, while the other may be steeper. They are both moving toward the same destination, but their experiences are completely different. Language learning is exactly like that. Some people learn quickly because they live in an English-speaking country. Others improve faster because they use English every day at work. Some learned English as children, while others begin as adults. None of these situations should discourage you. The only comparison that truly matters is between the person you were yesterday and the person you are today. If you can understand one more sentence than yesterday, if you can speak for one more minute without stopping, or if you learn just one useful expression today, then you are making progress. Progress may seem slow from day to day, but when you look back after 6 months or a year, the difference can be remarkable. Patience is another quality that every successful English learner must develop. We live in a world where people expect instant results. We want to learn everything as quickly as possible. We download an app today and hope to speak fluently next month. But language learning does not work that way. Learning a language is similar to planting a tree. When you plant the seed, nothing seems to happen for a while. You water it every day, but the growth is invisible. Then, slowly, a small green shoot appears. Over time, it becomes a stronger plant, and years later, it grows into a large tree. Your English develops in exactly the same way. At first, you may feel that you are improving very slowly. You may still forget words, hesitate while speaking, or make grammar mistakes. That is completely normal. The important thing is to continue practicing. Every conversation, every page you read, every video you watch, and every sentence you speak is another drop of water helping your English grow. One day, you will suddenly realize that you can understand an entire conversation that once seemed impossible. You will answer questions without translating. You will tell stories naturally. Those moments do not happen because of one perfect lesson. They happen because of hundreds of small practice sessions that slowly transformed your abilities. Listening and speaking should always work together, like two best friends. Some learners spend all their time reading grammar books, but rarely listen to real conversations. Others listen for hours, but never open their mouths to practice. Neither approach is complete. Every time you listen to English, give yourself the opportunity to repeat what you hear. Pause a video after each sentence and imitate the speaker as closely as possible. Pay attention to the pronunciation, the rhythm, the stress, and even the emotion in the speaker's voice. If the speaker sounds excited, try to sound excited too. If the speaker speaks slowly and calmly, copy that style as well. Perhaps the most important change you can make is changing the way you think about success. Many learners believe success means speaking with a perfect accent or never making grammar mistakes. In reality, success means communication. If another person understands your ideas, then you have succeeded. Imagine meeting someone from another country. They may speak English with a strong accent, use simple grammar, and occasionally choose the wrong word. Yet you understand everything they say, you enjoy the conversation, and you learn something from each other. That person is successful because communication happened. Never let the dream of perfection stop you from enjoying real conversations. Fluency is not perfection. Fluency is the ability to express your thoughts comfortably, naturally, and confidently. The more conversations you have, the stronger that ability becomes.
So, beginning today, make one simple promise to yourself. Promise that you will speak English every single day, even if it is only for 10 or 15 minutes. Speak while walking, cooking, driving, or sitting alone in your room. Describe what you see. Explain what you are thinking. Tell stories about your day, or imagine conversations with friends. Listen carefully. Repeat confidently, and never be afraid of making mistakes. Every word you speak is another step toward fluency. Every mistake is another lesson. Every day of practice brings you closer to becoming the confident English speaker you have always wanted to be. Remember the message of this lesson whenever you feel discouraged or tempted to spend all your time reading grammar rules without speaking. Don't study English, speak it. Learn grammar, build your vocabulary, and improve your pronunciation, but never forget why you are learning the language in the first place. You are learning English so you can communicate with people, share your ideas, explore the world, and create new opportunities for your future. Open your mouth, trust the process, and keep speaking. One conversation at a time, one sentence at a time, and one day at a time, you will become the fluent English speaker you dream of being. The journey begins not when you finish another grammar book, but the moment you decide to speak. The journey begins not when you finish another grammar book, but the moment you decide to speak. From that day forward, every conversation becomes your classroom, every mistake becomes your teacher, and every new experience becomes another opportunity to grow. The wonderful thing about learning English is that you do not need to wait for someone to give you permission to practice. You can begin right now, wherever you are. You do not need an expensive course, a perfect teacher, or a room full of classmates. You already have the most important tool, your voice. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Many learners underestimate the value of speaking to themselves, but this simple habit can dramatically improve fluency. When you are alone, talk about your plans for the day. Explain what happened yesterday. Describe your favourite memories. Imagine that you are hosting your own television show or recording a podcast. Speak continuously for 5 or 10 minutes without stopping. At first, you may struggle to find the right words, but that struggle is exactly what helps your brain become stronger. Every time you search for a word, connect an idea, or build a sentence, your speaking ability improves. These small daily exercises prepare you for real conversations because they teach your brain to think and respond in English without depending on translation. Another important secret is learning phrases instead of isolated words. Many students spend years memorizing long vocabulary lists. They know the meanings of thousands of individual words, but when they begin speaking, they still hesitate because they do not know how those words naturally fit together. Native speakers rarely think about individual words. Instead, they use groups of words that they have heard thousands of times. For example, instead of memorizing only the word decision, learn the expression make a decision. Instead of remembering only the verb pay, learn common phrases such as pay attention, pay the bill, and pay a visit. Instead of learning the adjective interested, practice saying, I'm interested in learning English, or she's interested in science. When you learn complete phrases, your brain begins storing English the way native speakers actually use it. This makes your speech smoother, faster, and more natural, because you are no longer building every sentence word by word. You are using ready-made building blocks that fit together naturally. So, beginning today, make one simple promise to yourself. Promise that you will speak English every single day, even if it is only for 10 or 15 minutes. Speak while walking, cooking, driving, or sitting alone in your room. Describe what you see. Explain what you are thinking. Tell stories about your day, or imagine conversations with friends. Listen carefully. Repeat confidently, and never be afraid of making mistakes. Every word you speak is another step toward fluency. If people understand you easily, then your pronunciation is already doing its job. Of course, it is helpful to improve your pronunciation over time by listening carefully and practicing regularly, but do not let the desire for a perfect accent stop you from speaking today. Some of the world's most successful business leaders, scientists, athletes, and public speakers communicate in English with noticeable accents. Their accents do not prevent them from giving presentations, making friends, negotiating business deals, or inspiring millions of people. Confidence and clarity are far more important than perfection. There will also be days when you feel that your English is getting worse instead of better. This happens to almost every learner, and it is completely normal. Some days you may forget simple words that you knew yesterday. You may struggle to understand a video that seemed easy last week. You may even feel frustrated after making the same grammar mistake several times. During these moments, many people become discouraged and think about giving up. However, these difficult periods are often signs that your brain is reorganizing everything you have been learning. Think about going to the gym. After a challenging workout, your muscles feel tired and weak before they become stronger. Language learning follows a similar pattern. Sometimes your brain feels overwhelmed because it is processing new vocabulary, new grammar, and new pronunciation all at once. If you continue practicing consistently, those temporary struggles will eventually disappear, and you will notice another big improvement. Do not judge your progress by one difficult day. Judge it by the effort you have made over many months. A useful habit that many fluent speakers recommend is keeping an English journal. Every evening, spend 10 or 15 minutes writing about your day in simple English. Do not worry about making mistakes. Simply write about what you did, how you felt, what you learned, or what you hope to do tomorrow. Then, after writing, read your journal aloud. This combines writing, reading, and speaking into one powerful exercise. As the weeks pass, you will notice that your sentences become longer, your vocabulary becomes richer, and your confidence grows.
Even more importantly, your journal becomes a record of your progress. When you read entries that you wrote 6 months earlier, you will clearly see how much you have improved. Progress often feels invisible while it is happening, but looking back at your older work reminds you that every small effort has been worthwhile. You should also celebrate small victories instead of waiting for one huge success. Maybe today you understood an English joke without translating it. Perhaps you watched a 5-minute video without subtitles for the first time. Maybe you ordered food in English during a trip or had a short conversation with a tourist. These moments may seem small, but they are powerful signs that your English is improving. Every fluent speaker once celebrated these same milestones. Fluency is not one giant leap. It is thousands of tiny steps taken consistently over time. Every successful conversation, every new phrase you remember, and every moment of confidence deserves to be recognized because each one moves you closer to your goal. As your confidence increases, challenge yourself to leave your comfort zone. Speak with people from different countries. Join online conversation groups. Participate in language exchanges. Record yourself speaking and listen to your recordings. At first, hearing your own voice may feel uncomfortable, but it is one of the fastest ways to improve. You will notice pronunciation mistakes, repeated words, or long pauses that you never realised you had. Instead of feeling embarrassed, treat these recordings as valuable feedback. Professional athletes watch recordings of their performances to improve. Actors watch their films. Musicians listen to their recordings. English learners can do exactly the same thing. Every recording becomes another lesson that helps you speak more naturally next time. Finally, remember that learning English is about much more than mastering another language. It is about opening doors that were once closed. English allows you to meet people from around the world, read books written by great authors, understand international news, enjoy movies without subtitles, study at world-class universities, build a global career, and discover cultures that may be completely different from your own.